What's up, guys? Welcome back to MikeyPolis. I have behind me, in my opinion, is one of the most trend-setting, iconic, legendary trucks that there is on the market. We have multiple generations of this truck right now, but behind me is one of my personal favorite trucks, and it's going to be a bit of a comparison to the episode that we did last week, the Gen 2 Ford Raptor. So behind me, I'm going to show you guys today, we're checking out a Gen 1 6.2 liter Ford Raptor. Alright guys, like I said, in my opinion, this is one of the most iconic trucks because it set a trend for vehicles. I'm going to show you a little bit the difference between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. As I had stated in the last video, when we were driving the Gen 2, the Gen 1 has the V8, the 6.2 liter instead of the 3.5 liter V6 with the turbo. There are a couple of very evident differences from Gen 1 to Gen 2 that I'll show you right now. Alright, so one of the things you're going to notice right away is the shape of the vehicle, the lines of the vehicle. This bad boy is metal. The other Gen 2 is made of military grade aluminum. They still sit wide. They both come standard with the 35s, the Fox shocks. You got the skid plate underneath because this thing's made to off-road. It's a big bad vehicle. It's not just a regular truck. Notice you still got the steel bumper up front. You got the iconic FORD across the grille, which again is only for the Raptors.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
You know, on the Gen 2s and Gen 3s, Gen 3s are even squared off a little bit more, but the Gen 2s, they started to square off. These Gen 1s are still very, very rounded over the fenders. You're sitting about, on these ones, on the Gen 1s, they're actually about 4 inches wider on each side than the Gen 2, so this is a huge vehicle. This is not just a standard truck, this is a huge vehicle. So this Gen 1 is finished in a terrain tan. You got the black fender flares, you got the black inserts on the hood, and then you obviously got your beadlock 35-inch BFG all-terrain tires with the beadlock style rim. As I said before, this one's the 6.2 liter V8, so this thing will scream. These wide hips got to cover up your 35-inch tires, which underneath, again, comes with the dual cartridge Fox shocks. This one specifically has a hard tonneau cover, bed cover on the back. You do have the backup cam. And then, like I said, we got our iconic, the Raptor SVT on the back. One of the craziest things you're gonna notice on these Raptors as we peek through, typically this is where people are putting the light pods like we saw on the Gen 1 in this metal bumper. So it's not just regular suspension. Everything's been upgraded. It's not just like you took a leveling kit on a truck and then your A-arms are off, your control arms are different. Look at the sheer size of these things. This is made to off-road, it is made to be aggressive, and that's what makes this Raptor super special. So visually on the outside, the biggest difference from Gen 1 to Gen 2 is you have the metal body versus the aluminum body. And you have, like I said, the body lines. This one is a lot more rounded, where Gen 2 and Gen 3 start to square things off a little bit. You got the same size wheels, you still got the skid plate underneath, you got that wide stance, you got that aggressive stance, because again, this is a Raptor. It's made to go off-road. You can take this thing off a jump. So outside is where you're gonna see some of the big visual differences. But on the inside, you're gonna see differences in, obviously this one is a 2013. The one we did last week, the Gen 2, is a 2019. They switched to the Gen 2 in 2015, but so there's obviously big differences from a 2019 to a 2013. So let's jump inside and let's see the inside of this bad boy. It is cold in Minnesota today. We don't have much snow. What we did have from the last video is now almost gone again, but we're supposed to get snow in a couple of days, so I'm sure the next video there's gonna be plenty of snow again. All right, before I show you guys the inside, I want to give a huge thanks to Dave Severson for letting me jump in this bad boy. So this bad boy is a 2013 Ford Raptor. It's got 65,806 miles on it, which is shockingly low for a 2013. And on top of that, it's probably one of the cleanest trucks you're gonna see. It's really hard when you get this age, you know, obviously before this as well, but this generation of truck from 2009 to 2014, you have that metal body. So you're gonna naturally get rust when it's lived in kind of the rust belt, we'll say, of the US, kind of in the Midwest. We get salt to cure the snow on the roads, and that salt eats metal. You kind of see where I'm going with this. It's a nasty combination. This is probably one of the cleanest trucks I've seen. So it's a 2013, it's listed here at Dave Searson. It's $41,000. I'm very familiar with the features of this vehicle. Yes, it's gonna have less features than the Gen 2. The Gen 2 is a 15 and on. So obviously it's gonna have less features. It's a couple years older, the model's back, the interior is different. It doesn't have quite the flash, we'll say, of a Gen 2, but the Gen 1 was an iconic, trend-setting build in itself, and I'll show you why. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm going to say that this is the most legroom I've had in any of the vehicles we've done so far. Even more, I would say this has more legroom than the Gen 2s. The Gen 1 Raptor, legroom wise, definitely has more room than the Gen 2s. Oh, let's start here at the steering wheel. You obviously have the coil band that Raptor does on all their steering wheels, and you get that two-tone leather again. You kind of get the perforated on the inside, smooth leather on the outside, and then so we got the so here we see the dash. You got the SVT, you got digital in the middle, and then you got the regular. This is digital, but it has gauges still. The gauges are still there. So as we make our way this way, this one's got the brushed aluminum bezels, and you got kind of a shiny, and then you got more of the matte finish bezels right here. But the F-150s of this year, they have kind of the same size screen. They changed it up a little bit, even from, mine is an 11. They changed, I think in 2013, they started to change the dash a little bit. So you do have some of the bigger kind of chunky knobs you see in the newer vehicles, but then you have all your buttons kind of go down the middle. My F-150 buttons are more from left to right. These ones are up and down, and then you got the bigger knobs right here. This knob is gonna change your 2 high, 4 low. You got your 12 volt, this is for your deck of cards. Traction control up top. You got a little bit of a storage space up here with the speaker. And then the auxiliaries, like we saw in the other vehicles, are up top. The auxiliaries here are right here. You got 4 auxiliary switches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are gonna be kind of before, like for the off-road type of vehicles. Your light bars, your accessories you put on the exterior of your vehicle, whether you put on the light pods, you put the bar across the top, you got a bar, you know, a light bar down in your grill, whatever it may be. These are your auxiliary switches for those. You got a little bit of a downhill assist and an on-off-road. Coming here, you got the dual cup holders here. And then again, the thing Ford is so crazy with is their interior storage is massive. Now, we tested the back seat of the Gen 2 Raptor. So now let's jump in the back seat of the Gen 1 so you guys can see just how big the rear end is. Oh. All right, backseat leg test. In the clear. This is how I like my seat set. It's back far, it's back, you know, I sit way back, I'm huge. So with that, look at this back seat. I would say the back seat is about the same as the Gen 2 Raptor. You have about the same space. You have less features, obviously, in the Gen 1 back here. You have your AC plug-in and your 12 volt. The backs are not heated. So different than the Gen 2, the Gen 1 does not have heated back seats, but you have, the headroom is there. I would say almost a little bit more headroom. In mine, my 2011, like I said in the video before, I'd have 2 car seats, and we had a 90-pound German Shepherd that would lay on the floor. And then we put all of our bags in the back. We always had enough room to travel as a whole family in the truck. We didn't have to get a huge SUV with a 3rd row. Could still utilize a truck, and Ford's great for that. So now that we've checked out the inside of the vehicle, let's jump back in the front seat. Let's take this bad boy for a spin, and let's see how it drives. That big 6.2 liter drives different than the V6. All right, so we're back in. Let's get buckled up. We'll go on a short little cruise with this thing, see how it feels different than the Gen 2. Gen 2 paddle shifts. Again, the V6 drives so much different than the V8. So this is a big V8 too. This is the 6.2 liter V8. My truck is a 5.0, this one's the 6.2. Having almost an overall foot wider footprint than a regular standard F-150 is so different. You know, it feels so much different because you're driving so You know, it's so wide, it's so big. So we're gonna make a short little drive here. We're gonna stay close to the dealership again. We're not gonna go on the gravel. This thing's nice and clean. We're gonna keep it that way. And it's a little dusty gravel right now. So we're just gonna kind of go out and make a loop right here. You know, obviously from a 2013 to a 2019, the Fox shocks and stuff are the same. You know, they're the same type of suspension setup you get in the newer vehicles. But even though this one only has 65,000 miles, you know, it's been around a lot longer. Versus the new V6, you know, it's a little bit, I'm gonna say it feels a little bit lighter. Even though it's a big vehicle, it feels a little bit lighter as you're driving. This is a heavy truck. It's such a different type of get up and go, you know, versus the turbos on a 3.5 liter. The turbos are a lot, you know, it's hard to describe without driving it. The turbos are really zippy and quick. This is aggressive and fast. So it's like, the get up and go is still there, but it's so different. It's so different when you're in a 6-cylinder versus an 8-cylinder. Having that turbo give you that extra little quick kick versus having the V8 where you just have the pure aggression and power to pull you as you go. You get up and go very similar, but it's just, it's different. I'd be really curious. Hopefully we can sneak in a Gen 3 Raptor that has the V8 again, so we can feel the new upgraded, you know, the aluminum body, the upgraded components of a 2023, but with the power that these Gen 1 09 to 14 feel that same power, but with the new components of a Gen 3 Raptor. One of my favorite things about these trucks is the aggressive stance. It feels so wide. As you take corners and move and turn, you kind of float with it versus, you know, my truck. I love my truck. I've had it for 5.5 years, and there's a reason I've had it that long. But it's skinnier than this. It's not quite as aggressive. I have 33s on my truck versus 35s on this. The ride's so much different. Having the Fox shocks in the front and back, and in the back you have the dual cartridge Fox shocks, it feels, the ride is just substantially different in a good way. All right, we just finished the test drive of this 2013 Ford Raptor SVT. This bad boy is huge, it's wide, and it is officially stamped Big Man Certified. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Big Man Certified here on the MikeyPolis YouTube channel. If you dig the video, please hit that thumbs up button, hit the red subscribe button to not miss my next adventure and or review. And with that, we'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye!